One of the many questions which I get asked, being an ICT integration expert in early childhood education, one of the many questions I get asked is, what are some meaningful ICT resources that you can use, that children can use in the learning environment? And it's a very relevant question, because how can you integrate um, when you don't have the tools? So I'm going to go through a couple of them today, and talk to you about some ideas about how you can do that. So the first thing that you need to know is that many of the ICT resources that you can use, so can children, and that's a very important thing. Um, if children are going to be able to develop their ICT capabilities, then they need to be able to learn to use adult technology devices. This is where it comes into play. By modeling in front of the children the behaviors, the thinking patterns, the usages of ICT, you'll be able to demonstrate and build on their capabilities right there, by showing them how to do it, showing them how to use it in life, how to use it in work, and by talking to them about it. So it's important that you remember that you don't need to have a great deal of variation in terms of ICT devices. It's important that you use the same technology that the children use, and they use the same as you do, for that simple fact that that they need to be able to see how they can use it themselves. So when it comes to supporting child learning and development with ICT, you need to remember that for children to be effective in the use, when using ICT, they need to have time to be creative, need to have the freedom, you need to support them, and then they need to have a range of choices, and they also need to be inspired. And that, I guess, comes back to being able to see you in practice with ICT. So if you use interesting practices, if you inspire them that way, then that's already a good start. So moving on to some meaningful ICT resources which you can use. One of the most common ones these days is programmable toys. And there's a few examples around. There's B-bots, of course. And this carries on, this sort of programmable toy carries on into the primary education, even to secondary education as well. So you got B-bots, you got roamers, and you got pixies. You might have heard of those latest too. But some great ideas, B-bots is great for mapping. So you can use B-bots or roamers in geography lessons. You can work in groups, of 5 and take turns with the roamer dance. And you can also tape white chalk to the back of the pixie and draw using the pixie on large sheets of black paper. Or why not use a B-bot? The same idea. We mustn't also forget you got the use of digital cameras. Now, digital cameras brings on another thing. digital images. And there's nothing children like more than seeing that. Now, there's a number of ways you can do that. You know, you've got iPads, you can use a camera from that. If you have old, digital cameras, or digital cameras available, you can take that. If you have, mobile phones with you that still are able to take photos, there's an idea for you. So, here's another thing as well. Even digital video webcams, they're also great for that as well. So, using digital photos taken from digital cameras, it's a great way to get them to be able to see what's happening. Of course, this leads to the use of multimedia software programs. Now, PowerPoint is the most common one that you can use, but there are other ones that are similar to it, and it's great because you can add sound, animation, there's transition areas there as well. So it's all good for that. You can then project them onto interactive whiteboards or smart boards. But there's a couple of guidelines you sort of need to remember about that. And that's the main thing. The main issue with that is that you got to remember to always educate the children not to look directly into the beam of the projector. If it's on the table. If it's on the ceiling, it might not be a problem, but if it's on a table, it's going to be a problem. So just a rule of thumb, discourage children to look directly at the beam of light. You also got art software. Now, you got things like painting and drawing programs. There's so much things. You got, there's Paint 3D now, which you can use. It comes from Microsoft. There's, older programs such as Paint, MS Paint, any other drawing programs. Very easy, what if you took a digital image and projected it onto the screen and then got the students to use the interactive whiteboard to be able to add to that? How amazing would that experience be to add to an image that way? Other things too. You just, it doesn't have to be from the images that you take yourself. It could be images from the internet that you get. It could be a clown face. It could be an elephant. What do elephants look like in, how do they dress up in India, in other countries? Let's do some work on that. Fantastic idea. Web cameras, video cameras are also great. But you have to remember that they have to be able to learn to be able to use them well first, before you actually go in a bit deeper in that. Webcams are similar. If you add an extension cord to the USB, you can take it anywhere, a bit of a distance away from the computer, and that will actually, add some value to activities. Role play ICT toys are also great, and these I've talked about a little bit in another video about defunct ICT toys, ICT that doesn't work. It could be toy ICT devices, they're great for ICT, for role plays. Then, of course, it's the computer itself. And, if you're sitting, they're sitting down at a computer, then it's important that they have that they have supervision, that they are monitored. It's important, that if it might be planned or unplanned. Okay, let's just say it's planned, that you structure and stimulate their learning effectively that way. But some ideas for that, you could model your own creative uses on the computer. You could demonstrate how to use a computer to make signs, lists, and labels for role play. Use peripheral devices such as scanners to make the most of the computer's creative opportunities. And then last but not least, you have music and sound devices. So you got keyboards, you got other things to do. There's Audacity. Audacity is a great free program, free software that you can download from the internet. And as long as you have a microphone, you can record children talking, about things, and then they can listen to it, and they can generate discussions. So there's a list of meaningful ICT resources that you can use in the Learning Childhood Learning Center.